Welcome to the Keeping IT Real podcast. This podcast features honest and transparent conversations about what it takes to manage corporate technology and expenses today. Each episode, listen to true and personal stories from IT professionals who are working hard to make sure their business stays connected and competitive. I'm your host, Jethro Castillo, and let's meet our next guest. Today, I am joined by Obinna Amalu, the Senior Director of IT Ops and Infrastructure at Slalom, a global consulting firm specializing in business and technology transformation. Obinna brings over 20 years of experience in IT with a focus on edge computing, AI, and empowering teams to drive innovation and growth. Obinna, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And Obinna gave me permission, but I'm going to call him Obi for the rest of this conversation, just so it's easier. He gave me permission. So, Obi, we're going to jump into the questions. How did you get started in the world of IT? And you can talk about just your kind of life experience in general to lead you to where you are now.
Okay, so my journey in IT was a very interesting one. My mom used to run a computer training outfit where they train people how to use Microsoft Word, CorelDRAW. I don't know if you know that. So I did a lot of that. Then I also remember using floppy disk to install Windows, the blue screen of death, playing Doom. So I used to train people how to do that because I learned it. And that was my first entry into it. That was also how I started teaching. So fast forward a few years later, I was about to get into college. Then, as every stubborn kid, my dad wanted me to study something in college. And I said, no, I went against it. He wanted me to study petrochemical engineering. I said, no, I want to study computer engineering. Then he said, oh, that's great. I said, no, I'm going to study electrical electronics engineering, which I ended up doing and never practiced. So who had the last laugh? My dad. So, yeah. So my whole IT thing kicked in fully when I was in college. I had my internship, and everyone's dream during internship is to make money. For some reason, I had those same dreams. I wanted to work for an oil company because they paid the best. Then I didn't get picked, so I got sad. And my cousin was like, hey, I have a friend who has a Linux outfit. He teaches people how to be a sysadmin, to manage Linux servers and all. Do you want to learn that? I said, sure, it's better than sitting at home. So I went, joined him, and I found out it wasn't going to be paid. I was like, oh my. So I had to do it for free, but I learned, and that is what has shaped my career till this day. That very year, I took a loss. So I'm happy I fell down that path. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Do you also mind talking about how you kind of wound up, because we had talked about this before the podcast, but how you wound up in the United States and then pursued kind of the IT path here, the US?
Okay. So, funny, when I was in college, when I was about to go into college, I wanted to come to the US to study. I got admissions to about 4 or 5 universities, colleges. And my dad was not the one to argue it. He told me I wasn't going to study in the US. I would study in Nigeria. And when I was done, I can go to the US. And I didn't really appreciate it till now. I don't have student loans. And I realized that was the best thing he did for me. So after I graduated, it was so crazy that after I graduated, I got the visa lottery, which is a thing they do in some parts of the world where if you win, you get a green card. For 3 years later, you get citizenship. So I went down that path and I came to the US. I joined the government, worked for the government. From there, Amazon and other bigger companies, within the retail space, healthcare, finance, startups, and consulting.
I feel like your dad has gotten the last laugh a couple of times on you.
You have no idea. He rubs it in my face too. He rubs it in my face really good. He's like, yep, you see, if I didn't make you do that, you won't be here. I'm like, nah. It just so happens you are the conveyor.
Yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh, you just got lucky. So obviously IT and tech is a very fast paced, probably in the industry of business, the fastest paced part of any sort of business. it changes so quickly. It's also the industry where you always have to be learning. You can't just take a break. So when it comes to IT and tech, what are you kind of most excited about? But also, what are you most concerned about and thinking about when it comes to this space?
Um, what I'm most excited about is the constant advancements in IT and tech. It constantly creates a new landscape, constantly creates a new landscape and a new realm of opportunities. Now, the biggest for me is accessibility. In the past, if you think about it, internet was expensive. You didn't have phones that you could read on. You didn't have phones that were powerful. Even if you did, they were very expensive. But now the cost has reduced so much. People, even in the most remote places, can now have internet thanks to things like space. Um, what's that thing called? The Elon Musk satellite.
Oh, yeah, that thing,
Starlink,
that
Starlink,
thing,
Starlink,
Starlink.
Starlink. Thank you. Yeah. So things like that have really changed the landscape. It creates like opportunities. It creates more opportunities because people have access to learn. People have access to keep up with trends and all. So some of those things have become commonplace. And now with the constant rise in emerging technologies, people can keep in lockstep with the emergence. And also it has increased the talent pool. Whereas before you could only get that talent in certain parts of the world, now you can have people in remote places, or not, let me not say remote places, in like countries that are 8 hours time difference, 10 hours time difference because of accessibility. Now, what concerns me the most about tech is the current generation coming up. They are so reliant on technology. It's almost crazy. Some can't even wake up themselves without some form of alarm clock. Some don't even know their schedule without something reminding them. There's a lot of prompting. There's a lot of notifications that they have to depend on. And during my earlier years, we played outside. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have access to a computer really till I was in my first or second year in college. We had a computer at home, but it wasn't the thing. You had to go outside to play. That was what we did. So we were more creative. Now creativity has been stifled because now you want to do something, you just go to ChatGPT, type a prompt, it spit out something for you. So that creativity, the lack of creativity is what bothers me the most in this current generation. And that's something that I try not to depend on fully. Like even if I want to write articles, emails, I try to write it myself, then give it to maybe an AI system. I say, make it more professional, make it more engaging. But those are my words. I just don't depend on it and say, write me an email for this. So that's just that's my concern though.
We're only moving in the direction of AI, right? We're not going to move
Yeah.
away from it. And so it's no longer an argument of should it happen or should it not happen. It is going to happen. And like you, I only hope that we figure out how to use it to only enhance ourselves and not replace ourselves in the things that only we can do.
It's all about governance and strategies, the right strategies and the right types of governance around it. And I think because the truth is, AI, data is AI. Without data, there's no AI. So I'll just leave that there.
Yeah, no, that's a perfect way to end that for sure. Right? As the senior director of IT ops and infrastructure at your company, what kind of fills your day to day?
My day to day, what do I do? So typically, how my day starts is I usually just wake up really early because of kids have to go to school. While I'm getting them ready, I just listen to like audio Bibles or audio books, then read some articles just to keep in tune with what's happening in the world, economically, politically, and technologically. I kind of check that out. Next is I make my tea. That's because I'm a tea guy. I don't do coffee. Allergic to coffee, actually, which is weird, but it's a real allergy. My favorite tea, Earl Grey. So yeah, I know. See, Great minds think alike.
It's a good tea. It's a good tea. It's a good tea. It's my favorite.
That's so after that, my work, I go to the gym. Then when I finish gym, I come home and I start my day. I try to move all my meetings to start around 10 o'clock so I can accommodate the gym and all that into it. So when I come back from gym, I attend to all my emails, chats that I have missed from the day before, get all that taken care of, meet with my leaders to make sure that they don't have any blockers, no escalations, and none of that. Then after that, I just attend meetings. Most of them are like strategy meetings, or maybe we're trying to check out a vendor or something. Just one of those things. So it's all about running my team. That's my day to day at work. Then personally, I also make educational materials for like Pluralsight, LinkedIn. I actually just released 2 classes on LinkedIn, and I make a couple labs for Pluralsight. I also like to mentor. So probably once or twice a week, I have somebody I talk to in terms of mentoring. So that's usually typically how my day goes. It doesn't sound busy, but trust me, you don't want to switch calendars.
When you look at your work specifically, obviously you kind of answer the email and the chats that you missed the day before, but for the rest of that day, what kind of fills that? And I know with IT, it's very dynamic, right? It's not like you're doing the same thing every single day, just like some other parts of the industry, but like as your role in your company, like when you're working from that 10 to however long, like what are you doing other than the meetings and the catching up and stuff like that? Or is it a lot of meetings for you?
It's a lot of meetings, but most of it is okay. Like now, I've just enrolled in school too for a program in University of North Georgia, so I do that. That's besides the case. But what I usually mostly do is every downtime I have, I'm doing some form of learning. Either I'm building AI systems, because I started playing around with edge computing a lot. So I've been trying to run models on the edge where you don't have internet access to try to see how best to fine tune them, work with them.
Gotcha.
Actually, that's what one of my classes on LinkedIn is based on. So that's what I've been doing. That's what I do in my spare time. I do a lot of architecting, looking at where my team is, trying to get them to a very fine-tuned place. Because in the ops world, the infrastructure operations world, you have to functionalize things. What you see in traditional IT shops is silos. This team works on something, hands it over. I'm trying to break that concept of verticals and move to a horizontal structure, which is a function. So a ticket comes in and it's maybe a network-related ticket. Instead of the support team handing it over to the networking team, it flows horizontally. Everybody works on it together. So you have an actual root cause analysis at the end and figure out what caused it, document it, add it to the knowledge system so that next time the chatbot or virtual agent can take that same knowledge article to respond to something else. So it's a cycle, trying to build it in such a way that the function creates an output. That output is injected into a system that can be consumed later instead of repeating the process. So my ideology is why reinvent the wheels when it already exists. So that's why I do that.
Why does IT classically, why has it worked in silos? And why do you feel like it's more effective to not work in silos and to work more interconnected along the way?
So silos, there's a lot of throwing over the fence. There's no context. And you start having this whole ideology of that's not what my team does. Mm. I believe in true teamwork, which is everybody together. I'm not a big fan of, oh, this is what my team does, so when we're done, we'll hand it over to you. No, I like things to flow, because do you know what you're doing? Even though you're solving a problem, you're teaching people along the way. It's what folks learn as the ticket goes by. So next time, before it gets to them, they would have fixed it because now they know what happened. So there's context along the way. It's just like your ChatGPT interface. If you're on the same screen, you can give it multiple prompts and it uses the results from the previous ones to create new context. Same thing. So that's how I thought about it. That's why I implemented that.
No, and I think it makes a lot of sense because in a conveyor belt style sort of work, like let's say we're manufacturing a car, it does make sense to super specialize, right? You don't need to know what the next person is doing because you only need to focus on the work that needs to be done because you trust that somebody else will just resolve any sort of shortcoming or bottleneck in the whole process. But when it comes to knowledge productivity, it is not the case where it's just like you just need to focus on your one thing and ignore everything else. You are every single individual along that process is very responsible for how you can improve that along the line. And so if you don't have the context, you will just be stuck in that forever. So I totally understand this idea.
Yes, that's my whole reasoning behind it. So
yeah, no, that's so interesting.
Yeah, and you can see the difference in the team. The productivity has changed drastically. Now they tend to meet SLAs quicker because now they are more knowledgeable.
Yeah. They understand why they need to move the way they need to move, right? Exactly. How it affects everything else. Yeah, 100%. That's so interesting. So interesting, for sure. What is kind of what you would say your biggest challenge that you're facing in your role right now, and how are you kind of tackling that yourself?
How do I tell on myself without telling on myself? I'm good. So my biggest challenge I'm facing right now is skill. So skill comes in different forms. My form of skill is manpower. So I have a pretty large organization that when it comes to the different departments in my organization, I have a pretty large one. Now, when it comes to the people within those departments, it's really small. So I have a large organization with small teams that manages large global organizations in IT needs. The problem with that is there's always going to be business requirements, business priorities, and all that, which tends to move resources towards the business. We are a consulting company. Our biggest goal is to do things that generate revenue. So anything that is revenue generating, they pour a lot of resources to it because it's going to generate revenue, because we're in a service business. Service businesses always prioritize revenue. So that's no. So what does that do? And what happens is that my team, because they are so small, they get stretched out thin. And when that happens, it actually hampers innovation within the team because the team is constantly fighting fires and attending to projects, reprioritizing constantly, and that can cause burnout. I'm a big fan of work in progress limit, WIP limits. I'm a big fan of it, but in times like this, you can't implement that because everybody has to be all hands on deck, which is just what it is. So in turn, that creates tech debt because the more you push things up to do them at a later time, you create tech debt because technologies might have changed. Now you have to rewrite the entire code base. It becomes a problem. So to prevent this within my organization, what I started doing was upskilling other parts of my team. That's the reason why I chose the functional method, because now
that's right.
Is bogged down. You see, it all comes back to why I did that. So if networking is bogged down, we have people from infra ops or people from support that can fill in for them to attend to their trouble tickets, so they don't have to be bogged down with their queues being too large. So that's kind of why I know my team is small. The best way to fix it is to move people around like chess pieces to help fill those gaps. And that's what I've been doing. And the results are showing, because you can see the overall happiness index and empowerment index of the teams have improved because they feel like they are responsible for more than what they were responsible for. You know, humans like to be responsible for something that's good. So once they see it's good, it's yielding, you see them get happier. And I also push them to take certifications and stuff like that. So overall, that's just my whole plan and strategy, is to combat that problem.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the other answer to that problem is to give you more money. But I don't know if that's going to happen. That's outside of your control, right? And I really like this idea of, obviously you want to be able to upskill your employees to be able to do more things, but in order for you to do that, your employees need to feel like they care, that they're passionate about their work,
Yeah.
that they have
Mhm.
responsibility. So you have to take a lot of steps back to be able to do that base
Yeah.
level. I
Yes.
also like that whole chess piece analogy, because it's like you pretty much get all of your employees to the end of the chessboard so that they could turn into queens or horses or bishops and become more multi-talented than what they were
Yeah.
before then, right? So that way,
That is
when
that
there
is
isn't that manpower excess that you could add on, you can just be like, oh, but this person can be flex. So you're teaching flexibility and adaptability in your
thank
in
you.
your in your team.
Yeah. And that is exactly my goal, which it has worked so far. We've tried it with like 2 people right now, and amazing. So it's working. I'll put it that way.
You talked about, scale, right? And scale is a huge issue, especially with IT teams always being one of the most lean teams in an organization. So when everything else scales, IT doesn't, right? But now more is demanded of IT than ever before. You have fires to to kind of put out, but then you also have like the need to advance technologically your entire organization. So with a limited team, and of course you're upskilling, but still with a limited team, how do you balance and prioritize all the IT initiatives, whether it's putting out fires or like advancing your organization with limited resources? How do you prioritize everything that's coming your team's way?
Okay. So if you remember, I said in my current role, um, the initiatives are prioritized based on business needs, which is revenue generating versus non-revenue generating. That's a top level. What's the word I'm trying to use? The top level prioritization.
Sure. Yeah.
Is yeah. So currently in my organization, we're in the process of implementing a global organizational change, which has a good amount of contribution from my team. My team is responsible for a lot within the whole ecosystem of that change. That change is a business need. It's a very critical business need to how we operate as an organization. My team is also responsible for keeping the lights on and also responsible for the global expansion efforts. So within that change we're making, we still have to keep the lights on. If there's a new office somewhere, we still have to be responsible for spinning it up. And also, we still need to do the things we do, like patch our systems and all those things. Like, it becomes very chaotic. So what we started doing was figuring out so we started aligning people based on strengths and weaknesses. So what I did was, if I notice somebody is good at something, I look at all our priorities and I gather priorities that are similar and put you in it. So you don't have to context switch a lot. If I save you on context switching, you'll be more efficient because you're doing things that are related to each other. And because of that, we can almost kill multiple birds with one stone, because you're in a place where you can work on multiple things that are related to each other. I'll give you a good example. There might be a good amount of Active Directory work or something going on. If you are also responsible for infrastructure, you're responsible for our AD infrastructure, and you're also responsible for making that change, because you already understand how it works, because you're part of the team that architected it, manages it, it makes it easier for you to manage. So that's how I started aligning things and reprioritizing. So we had this big exercise where we had to write all the things we had to do and align them and group them according to the nature of what the task is. And we put the right people as leads and a backup. So it's hard when you have a lead and a backup and the team is only 2 people. Third project comes, what happens? So that's why we went this path. Another thing is, it gives a team a kind of soft landing. I don't know how to explain this. Because of how that is, the team has a soft landing when they jump into these engagements. Because why? They don't have to churn too much. So that really does help. It shows up in the way they come into the meetings. It's like they already have pre-context because they're still within the same space. So that's kind of how I it's a very difficult thing to do, but when you think about it in the long run, that effort is worth it. So that's how I think about it.
No, it makes complete sense, right? This whole idea of context switching or task switching or anything switching is what slows us down in productivity, right? If I have to write and then I suddenly have to strategize and I suddenly have to read data and then I suddenly have to like take pictures or then I suddenly have to make this video, like all of that switching slows me down in some way, as opposed to being able to hyper focus on one area and only switch within the area, which is all interrelated anyways. So my brain doesn't have to make a sharp jump. It just has to slide over just a little bit. And that changes so much about how you're able to drive into that. So I completely understand that. On the second part, though, it requires you to know your team, right? You have to know your team pretty well to know where their strengths are and where they are comfortable moving, right? So that becomes your leadership ability.
I have a lot of skip levels with my team. And what I do is I assign a lead to each of the efforts and I interact with the lead. The reason is when you interact with one person, they get everybody's voice and put it in one voice and give it to you. The thing is, if you let the person translate everything, you will have the person's version of everybody's version.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I try to avoid. Then I also do skip levels with the individuals. So I kind of validate the context of the conversation. So that way, it's really helped a lot. It's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Oh, this makes sense. And that's just how I've gone about it.
That's why your days are a lot of meetings, right? Because you have to be able to meet with all these people and understand it. Right?
Yes. So imagine if you have my team is pretty large, but what I did was I have directors, senior managers, then leads. So what I do is I adjust the reporting structures to reduce the amount of people on each person. Truth is, you can effectively only manage 5 to 7 people. You have 5 days a week. If you manage more than 5 people, that means certain days you have 2 meetings per day. Detrimental. So what I try to do is I try to make each of my managers have at least 5 people. So if you have a couple leads underneath you as a manager, if you have 5 leads, the 5 leads report to you, every other person reports to the leads. And I spread the reporting structure across and make sure that they have like at least 5 to 6 people tops. So that's just how I do it. And it's worked. It's worked in almost everywhere I've worked, and I've implemented this and it works.
Well, and I also, you talked about it before, but a lot of your work is a lot of learning, right? Because you have to be able to bring what you've learned back into that to actually, because you're taking in information from your team, but in order for you to understand how to translate that into an actual action, you have to do a lot of research on the side to be able to figure out all of these moving parts. How do you make that move in the same direction, right?
So, thank you. See, you just stole that script out of my brain.
I'm hearing you. That's all it is. That's all it is. Moving forward, right, for you, your team, for you personally, for the business, what are your biggest priorities and challenges, and how are they supporting kind of the business? What are your main focuses moving forward?
So my number one priority is my people. Remember, people before process. You can change the process all you want. If you don't change the people, you are just spinning in circles. So what I'm focusing on currently is prioritizing the upskilling of my team, growing my team. So I had this certification drive where I pushed them to try to take at least 2 certs this year, each person. And the fact that the company covers it is also a good thing. So I have seen a ridiculous amount of interest from it. And they've been passing. No one has failed so far, which is great. That means there has always been that interest, but there's never been the avenue to explore it. So they've been getting certified. Now, if you're having conversations with them, their vocabulary has changed. You know, you can now hear that there's knowledge behind it. Then I also, apart from that, we also host hackathons. And what we try to do is we try to inject our job functions that need automation into it. So they fix a problem within a constrained amount of time. It's a trick. It works. Let them feel good doing something.
Yeah.
but give them an actual real life scenario to solve with no guardrails, no project team, nothing, just fly by the way and get it done. So from doing that, we were able to build out our virtual agent fully in a hackathon, test it out, do everything, and it works now. They are using it in production. It all came from a hackathon. So that kind of made the team happy because you empowered them to do something they've always wanted to do, but never had the time to do it. They were able to do it in a hackathon, put it in production, and they are using it. So it feels good. That's the point I'm trying to make. So that's one of my biggest priorities. And I know it sounds cliche, but it's a big deal for me and my team because I feel like that is where they have lacked the most is in knowledge and upskilling. So that was my priority. So I always say, once I fix the people, then I can fix the process.
Yeah.
The process is always going to be there. The people are not going to be there.
100%.
Exactly. So, yeah.
100%. No, it's got to be people first, right? And it's funny that in IT, in a tech-dominated part of the industry, part of business, every single IT person I've talked to is always like, it's people first. Like, tech is huge. Tech is important. AI is going to do a lot. Technology in general is going to do a lot. Cloud's going to do a lot. Shifting and digital transformation is going to do a lot. But it's always people first. If we don't put the people first, all the tech is just going to be a waste, right?
It's a waste. And I can totally argue with anyone who says otherwise. It's the people, because technology is technology. It's the person that's using the technology that matters.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
To close, Obi, I was about to say your full name, but I told everyone I was going to call you Obi. To close, what are kind of some of the most important life lessons related to IT and tech and working within that industry that you've learned over your career, whether through failure or through success?
Okay, I always say this. These are my few mantras. Any opportunity to learn is an opportunity to grow. Don't take learning for granted. Do not take learning for granted. You might be walking past a billboard, you see something, you're going to use that 5 years from now. So I always strive to learn. I also say no knowledge is wasted. I've used some things I learned in 2007. I've used them most recently in my career. And it's like, wow, I can't believe I ended up using this. Thought I never, like the other day, my son broke his lightsaber sword. And I remembered I had a soldering kit. I brought it out, soldered the sword back, fixed it together, wrapped it with a tape, and it works. That's what I learned in college. Never used it, but I used it recently. So no knowledge is wasted. Ask questions and network with intention. It's not always about what you know. It's about how you present what you know. Always build your personal brand. Every opportunity you have, your brand is who you are. So if you can't, if you don't have a brand, you don't have an identity. So that's one. Be good at something, no matter what it is, to pave a way for you. Trust me. Let me find a good example. I don't know if you remember the girl that used to review foods that got fired from Chick-fil-A or something like that.
Yeah. I remember this person.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was just good at something and it's paved the way for her. So it sounds funny, but it's actually real. If you know how to do voiceovers, you'll make a living. It will pave a way for you. So another one is learn to listen as you learn, because you learn while you listen. Very important. When you walk into a room, be silent, observe, and move strategically. Always place yourself in the right corners of the room because you never know who is watching. So those are my few life lessons that have guided me. And hey, it's worked.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Obi, this was an awesome conversation. Seriously, you are very well spoken, but also you really understand what you want to be doing in your life and for your employees and in your work in general. And it's been an honor to kind of just listen to you talk about. You just sound kind of wise beyond your years. Very considerate. So
maybe it's the grace.
Maybe it's the grace. Maybe it's the grace. You're right. And honestly, it adds things. I'm clean shaven. Maybe I should grow it out, and maybe people respect me more, Obi. I don't know. Thank you for your time and your wisdom and your thoughts. This was an awesome conversation. I'm very grateful to have it. And
moving forward, I hope we keep in touch. And I hope that maybe you can mentor me into something down the line too. So that'll be awesome. So I just want to say thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It was fun. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, part 2, part 3, part 4. So it's all down the line for sure.
Let's go.
So I just want to say thank you and take care. Take care.
Thank you. You too.
We hope you enjoyed this Keeping IT Real episode, and thank you for listening. Make sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss a future episode. This podcast is all about celebrating and connecting professional heroes who work hard at IT every day. To continue the conversation and learn how VCOM can help you better buy, manage, and pay for your technology, visit us at vcomsolutions.com. Until next time.